Hello friends, welcome back to my channel, or if you're new here, hello, welcome. My name is Anvita. I love to read books, I love to talk about books, etc, etc. Today's video is gonna be quite exciting because I haven't done this kind of video before and I'm very excited. So welcome to me tier ranking BookTok books and talking about those books that I have read, because most of these are books that I read before I started this channel, or like I read it but like I didn't talk much about it on here. And so I thought this would be a good way for you guys also to know my taste in books and like the kind of books I like and have enjoyed that are like BookTok popular books. And so yeah, let's go. So I'm gonna hope that this is recording well. Okay, so we have the 7 options on the tiers. First one is would sell my soul to experience this for the first time again. Then we have exclamation points, and then we have it was enjoyable but forgettable. Then did I like? Would I recommend? Sure. And then don't make me talk about it. And then we have I simply am not picking this book up and you can't make me. And then we have TBR. Okay, so let's look at the images. Okay, first is Dark Vanessa. My Dark Vanessa. This is gonna be I simply am not picking this book up and you can't make me. I have heard the trigger warnings. I've heard kind of what it's about, and I don't think I'm meant for that, so not reading it. Yeah. Okay, next is Verity. This, okay, I don't know if I've mentioned this on here, but basically during college, like 3.5 years, I barely read, like I read 1 or 2 books in those entire 3 years. And so when COVID hit, I got back into reading because my friend pestered me to read Verity with her because she didn't want to read it alone because it was scary for her. And so I read it in one sitting, and like the bingeable quality to it was the only thing that got me through it. Like I am still like, I don't know if I enjoyed the book, but like it did get me reading. It did get me into reading, and like literally snowballed into me starting my Bookstagram, my YouTube, like all of that, and like all the way I'm reading right now. So this like kickstarted my reading journey again. So I do have some thing for it, but like I don't know if I enjoyed this book, and I definitely wouldn't recommend it. So I would say don't make me talk about it. Yeah. Okay, The Deal by Elle Kennedy. This I read, I think, in 2021 or 2022 when I was still like getting back into my reading journey and like starting to read all the books that had come out while I was away from the book community and stuff. So this was like still in the earlier stages, and this had a bingeable quality. I read it so fast and like enjoyed it, but like I think it's like somewhere between it was enjoyable but forgettable versus did I like? Would I recommend? Sure. Definitely it is a book that you need to check trigger warnings for. And yeah, I would say it was, did I like? Would I recommend? Sure. Okay, let's go with that. Ugly Love, I'm gonna just put it, no, sorry, I have read it. Don't make me talk about it. So any book that I read before 2020, I just don't trust my judgment anymore because I am not the person I was back then. And with Colleen Hoover books, I read them in like 2016, like when I was in high school. So back then, my impressionable mind enjoyed them, but I don't trust that anymore, and I don't know if I would enjoy the books anymore. So don't make me talk about it, basically. Twisted Love, I will say, did I like? This is like, I enjoyed the Deal more than Twisted Love. I think I gave Twisted Love like 2 or 3 stars. It was just and this was the actual like but I could recommend, because there are people who enjoyed it, and like I know people who enjoyed it, and yeah. But The Deal is like it's like a between it was enjoyable but forgettable and did I like. So it was between these two. Okay, November 9 again. I read that when I was a minor, so I don't know. From Look Off With Love, so I think in 2022 also, like I had a very big like Kindle phase, so that's when I read like The Deal and like all those books, and then I read a lot of Mariana Zapata books, and so this was then. And I think this is like, with her books, it's most of them are like, there's only one book that I actually really like that she's written, which is All Roads Lead Here. The others, I don't know. Like, all the others I've had like problems with. This one is still, I think this is like the second most, like where I was like, okay, this is still enjoyable, and like there's not problematic things in it, and like, yeah. So I would say, did I like and would I recommend? Sure. With her, it's also like, if you've read her books, then you know like 90% is all just build up, and then there's only like things actually happening in the last 10% of the book. So it's like, if you're not in the mindset for that, it's gonna drag. So yeah, keep that in mind. Okay, Hook, Line and Sinker. This one I enjoyed. I can't remember if I enjoyed this one more or if I enjoyed It Happened One Summer more, but I think it was this one. I think the build up of their like, you know, friendship and like them like texting each other, like the first, I think from what I remember, the first couple chapters were like them texting long distance because they were away from each other and stuff. So I enjoyed that a lot, and just like banter and stuff. So this was one of, with Tessa Bailey, it's always been a hit or miss for me, and this one was a hit. So I would recommend, and I wouldn't say, so again, this is not to the level of exclamation points, but it's not a book that was forgettable, because I still remember some plot points, you know, that she's like, she works in movies and stuff, and then her shooting happens in the city where he's like, you know, where he lives and works and stuff. So it's not forgettable, but it's not exclamation points, so it's gonna go in the enjoyable but forgettable category. Okay, beach read. This is an interesting one, because so this is my least favorite Emily Henry book. I think this was also, from what I remember, this was my first book of 2021. So I had just gotten into my reading, you know, thing, because I had started reading, like, I read Verity in like end of 2020, and that's the first book I read in like months and years. So yeah, beach read was one of my, you know, when I was still that, but also one of the first few books I read after I started my Bookstagram account. But yeah, I think for me, I was expecting it to be more romance and less like grief and stuff. And also, one thing that just annoyed me is like, it's called beach read, but there was no, with beach, my mind goes to like sunshine and like, you know, the beach, like the good beach days, not like the storm and like bad like weather beach days and stuff. And so when I read it, I thought it was like fake advertising, just because this is not, where is the beach? Where is, you know, the cover doesn't really look the way you know, yeah. Again, this is enjoyable. I still enjoyed it. It's my least, I still enjoyed it. It's my least favorite Emily Henry, but it's still really good. It's not forgettable since I remember a lot of things. I remember his name was Gus. Like, the fact that I remember a character's name 4 years after reading the book, like, that should say something. But, I mean, it also could be because I see his name on Bookstagram so often. But anyways, I read Beach Read in 2021 and still remember quite a lot for someone who keeps forgetting things about books. Yeah, like I remember her dealing with, I think her dad passing away and like the grief of that and stuff. And then it's like they were writers and they were rivals and something. Yeah, anyways, I did enjoy it. And there was like a camping scene, I think. Anyways, so it's not forgettable is what I'm trying to say, but it's not exclamation points for me. So, yeah. Okay. Spanish Love Deception. This is definitely, did I like? Would I recommend? Sure. Because I don't know if I mentioned this on my channel before, but I've stopped reading Elena Armas's books just because the last couple, like this one was still fine for me and I enjoyed it to a certain extent, I guess. And so that's why I would like recommend it to other people, even though it wasn't like so great for me. But every book I've read of hers after this, there's been something or the other that has just been missing. And then the last book that I read of hers, I think it's called The Long Game or something, or The Last Game, something like that. I hated that book and just did not enjoy it at all. I think I gave it like 1 or 2 stars. And so since then, I've decided that I will not pick up her books anymore. Like I might, if I hear like people whose recommendations I trust, if I hear them tell me that I should read this, then I will try it. But like, I'm not gonna pick it up on my own volition, basically. So, yeah. Okay. Next is again Mariana Zapata's book, Kulti. This I will not be picking up. I think again, like as I was saying before, like there has been a few books of hers that I have enjoyed, but most of them have had problematic stuff in it that, like many of the others have had problematic stuff in it that I didn't enjoy. And this is one of her earlier books, like one of the first books or maybe even the first book that she released. And so even like, I don't know, if you've read Mariana's books, you know, like every book has like some mention of like other books characters in them, and like so it's like a multiverse kind of feeling. And so the characters from Kulti, I don't remember, but in one of the books of hers that I've read, they had like mentions of the characters from Kulti in that. And so I don't know, the vibes I got were just off, and like I don't remember what the interaction was, but something about it had seemed not okay to me. And like, then I just was like, there's no point in reading it. And it's just, again, like the whole 90% is build up and then the 10% we get something is just not gonna work for me. Like, I'm not in that mindset for that. So yeah, I'm probably never picking this up. If I do, then I guess I was in the mood for that, but I don't think I'll be in the mood for that. And there's too many books out there. So anyways, Inheritance Games by Jennifer Lynn Barnes. This is literally, okay, this also was one of the first few books that I read when I like started reading again. This was in 2020, like end of 2020. I like literally remember where I was, and like I remember I read it in one sitting, and like I was literally on a trip and I was like, everybody go away, I'm just gonna focus on this book right now, like I can't stop. And so it was crazy. It was very good. It's between exclamation points and would sell my soul again. Soul to experience this for the first time again, just because like, okay, this is another thing, I'm team Grayson. Okay, so the entire time I have been team Grayson, and watching that If you know, then you know. But yeah. I don't know if I want to experience the second book again for the first time. So I'm gonna put this, I think, exclamation points, just because it was so good and so bingeable. Like, highly recommend it. Like, also this another thing on the Grayson thing, because I'm team Grayson, and like it's to the point where like it's not even about Grayson versus Jameson for me. It's like I just don't like Jameson. Like, I don't like his character at all. And so I haven't read the Brothers Hawthorne yet, because the first few chapters are from Jameson's point of view. Like, I started it and I tried to read it and I just couldn't make myself be in his head. So yeah, that's where we're at. I will read it at some point, because I know The Grandest Game also just came out and I really want to read that as well. And so yeah, I will read it at some point. But yeah, if you like mystery, if you like, you know, it has like a kind of like a Wattpad sense to it a little bit, just like in the, because there's been like, when I was in my Wattpad era, like when I was in like, I don't know, 7th, 8th grade or whatever, like there were all these books about like one girl and like so many guys in one house, like they're like living together, like that kind of quality to it. But like also like the solving puzzles and like figuring out like what their grandfather left them, and like clues and things like that, like it's just very interesting. So I would highly recommend it. Yeah. Okay, next is Better Than the Movies. This is in my TBR just because I have the book. I've already bought it, so I'm gonna read it. Already spent the money on it. Might as well read it. Okay, They Both Die at the End. Again, I would not say that it was forgettable, but it was enjoyable, but it's not to the exclamation points level for me. This was good. The ending was crazy. Like, what's gonna happen because of the title, but like you don't know how it's gonna happen, and so seeing that is like crazy. Yeah. Anyways, it's good. I enjoyed it. I haven't read the second book, which is the prequel, yet. I don't know if I will, because again, it was enjoyable, but not to the extent of like exclamation points. And I just have too many books to like put that above the others. And so we shall see. Okay. After is, again, Don't Make Me Talk About It, just because. So as I said, any book that I read before 2020, I'm just gonna keep putting them there just because I don't trust my judgment. And so I haven't read, oh wait, I guess I shouldn't put this here. So I read After on Wattpad when it was still a fan fiction. So that's the only version I've read. I haven't read the book version, so I don't know about it. And also I read it like when I was in high school and like a long time ago, so I don't even remember much about it. But yeah, I'm not picking it up. I'm not reading it. It's not happening. So yeah. Okay, Midnight Library. I'm like, oh, oops, what? Okay, anyways, Midnight Library is gonna be in Don't Make Me Talk About It, just because there's no other option that fits it better. But I DNF'd this book in 2021, like mid 2021, just because like I read the trigger warnings and I read it still. Like, I read, I think, about 80 pages before I DNF'd it, and I think it was just not the right time for me, and also just my mental health wasn't great that I could be reading about like the things that this book talks about. So yeah, and like I've tried to pick it up again since then, but like I keep getting reminded of that time and like that period of my life and stuff, and so haven't been able to pick it up. So I don't think I will, and yeah, it's fine. Next, we have Daisy Jones and the Six. This book, it's not to the exclamation points, that's for sure. But it's not forgettable. Like, these tears are not right for me. Anyways, I'm gonna put it here because it was enjoyable, not forgettable, that's for sure. But I think, like, I've read a lot of books that have like different writing styles and like different writing formats, and so others, like whether it's like a podcast or like a screenplay as like a book and stuff, like those I've still enjoyed. Like, it's not like they're taking me further away from the story, like separating me. But this, for some reason, felt not like, I don't know why it didn't feel like it was executed as well for me. And so the interview style format just like took something away from the book for me and like made me feel less for the characters, and so I couldn't enjoy it as much. And again, like there are some tropes in it also that don't work for me, and so it was enjoyable, but I would never read it again. Or like, yeah, I gave my copy away to a friend after this, so after reading it. So, you know, yeah, it was enjoyable, not forgettable, but I would not read it again. So, but it's not like it was like so yeah. Okay, next we have People We Meet on Vacation. This book, I was like obsessed. I read this in like the first half of 2021, I think, when it came out, because I got this on Book of the Month subscription box, and I really enjoyed it. I think I read it in like 1 or 2 sittings from what I remember, even though my exams were going on or something, and I really enjoyed it. I'm gonna put it here just because I do remember the feeling I had when I read it, and it was like, it's still one of my favorite Emily Henry books. And yeah, I haven't read it again. Okay, so also after reading this, like a couple years after, so like in the last year or so, I've read other people's reviews of this book, and like the bad reviews, and I think I'm like, it's been so long since I read it that I don't remember it as well. So like the exclamation points is there just because of what I remember of my reading experience back then, but it could be different. Like, I'm hoping to reread the book at some point soon, just so I have a better idea of my Emily Henry books rankings. And so I'm hoping to read this again soon and see what I feel. I think also beach read, because that was even earlier than this. So yeah, we shall see. But I love Poppy and Alex. I loved the friends to not so much friends anymore to lovers things, and like there's a whole travel aspect of it too, and like the sick, like when she was sick and he came to take care of her, and like things like that, you know. I remember a lot. I just don't remember the detailed like how they were with each other, which is what a lot of people had problems with. So yeah, we'll read it again and let you know. But for now, it's in the exclamation points because I remember how I felt. Okay. Malibu Rising, Taylor Jenkins Reid. This also I'm gonna put up here because it was enjoyable, not forgettable, but like the enjoyable level was even higher. This was, I think, like my 3rd or 4th Taylor Jenkins Reid book, and really enjoyed it. And like I think also read this in like 1 or 2 sittings, and like it was so good. And like just like the whole dynamic of like past and present, and like seeing, and like the way it like was completely in like one day, one night, basically. Like it was set in one night, and like just getting like the whole backstory and like the family relationships and stuff, like the dynamics of it was, yeah, I liked reading about it. Yeah. And I think also just like the fact that it's set in LA and like seeing Malibu through the book and stuff was really nice, because I'd been missing LA a lot back then. And yeah. I wish I could put the next book is We Were Liars. I wish I could put this in I simply am not picking this book up and you can't make me. I wish I had the foresight to do that before, but putting it in Don't Make Me Talk About It. If you've seen my wrap up for when I read it, I think I read it in May or June, maybe. I can't remember, but I read it like sometime this year and hated it. This is the worst book that I read this year, and the worst book I've read in a long time also, I think. Yeah, I hated this book, so don't make me talk about it. Funny you should ask. This book also I read this year. I read this on my flight back from LA in May. Yeah, I read it in May on my flight back, and I really enjoyed it. I binge read this in like one sitting on my flight, and so I really enjoyed it. But then I found out some things about it, about like how the interview thing was like something that has happened in real life, and like the author of that, you know, article and stuff was never credited, or like there was no mention of that until I saw it, until I saw someone else talk about it in their Goodreads review. So that's how I found out about it, and that just didn't sit well with me, kind of. So yeah, I did really enjoy it, and I would put it in the it was enjoyable. I feel like this needs to be different. I need to remove that but forgettable part, because like even though I forget books and stuff really easily, I remember most of these. So yeah, I would put this here, but I don't know how I feel about recommending it to people after knowing that about it. It's fine. Okay, I'm just, for the book itself, I'm gonna put it there with the others. Okay, next is Every Last Word. I haven't read it, so it's in my TBR. I don't know about it, so I don't know if I will even pick it up ever, but yeah. Okay, Shatter Me. Again, I read this in 9th grade, so it's been like 10 years. So I mean, back then I was obsessed with this series, and like it would be it would be like would sell my soul to read this for the first time again. But I did read the last book in the series like last year, I think, and like it did not, I grew out of it. Like I realized this is not for me anymore. And so I would say, did I like would recommend, sure. Just because of, I think if I was doing this then, it would be up there. But like now, this is how I feel about it. So, okay. I think this is 1,000 Boy Kisses. Yeah, 1,000 Boy Kisses. I am not picking this book up because I haven't read actually, but I've just seen again people's reaction to it, and I don't know if that is for me. So yeah, I don't think I'm picking that one up. Okay, Bunny. Oh my god. This is between exclamation points. Okay, no, it is exclamation points. Yeah, I would not sell my soul to read it again, but it is really good, and I would reread it once I like start to forget them. Actually, I don't think I will ever forget the twist at the end, like when you find out. Yeah. It's a weird book. I will say that. It's a weird book, and it takes a turn for weirder at the end, but like the way it does, I really enjoyed it. And there are some aspects to it that I can't tell, otherwise I'll spoil it. But there are some aspects that I really enjoyed in this. So yeah. Okay, the next two very easy answers. Cersei would sell my soul again. Would sell my soul to experience this for the first time again. I loved that book. Yeah, if I could read it again with my brain wiped completely, I would do it. It was so good. Again, also Song of Achilles, up there. Both of these books I am obsessed with. I love them. They were so good. The writing is insane. The way the story is set and like written, and like just like the emotions, so good. Yeah, I like Cersei more, I think, but yeah, I love both. And like feminist retellings just get me. Yeah, that's all. Yeah. Okay, It Happened One Summer, which is the first book in the hook, line, and sinker, like, which is the first book of that duology. I'm gonna put it as same as It Was Enjoyable but Forgettable. I remember less about this than I remember about Hook, Line, and Sinker, so I think this was less for me, but I did enjoy it. I think I didn't like the female character as much, is what I remember, and like that kind of put me off. But like I do remember something, like I remember her going back to like LA or wherever she was from, and then him going after her to get her and stuff, something like that, I think. Yeah, I do remember some things. It was enjoyable. This duology is one of the few Tessa Bailey books that I enjoyed, so I will say that. Yeah. Okay. Cruel Friends would sell my soul to experience this for the first time again. I read this, well, if you saw my wrap up for, what month are we in? Okay, if you saw my wrap up for August, then you'll know, because I talk a lot about Cruel Prince and the whole series basically. But I read this in 2021 and then again in 2022, and I love it and I'm still obsessed with it. And I recently read like the duology that came after the series and also enjoyed that. But Cruel Prince series, like, it just gets me. It just gets me. Definitely would sell my soul to be able to read it for the first time again. So yeah. Okay, If We Were Villains, I haven't read this, but this is on my TBR and I actually want to read this, so hopefully soon, hopefully one day. Okay, Punk 57, I read this because my friend wanted to read it with me, and this was like, there's like between, like, did I like it? But I also don't know if I would recommend it, and versus like, don't make me talk about it. I mean, it's not to that level, so it's like somewhere between those. I guess I'll put it, did I like and would I recommend? Sure. Make sure to check trigger warnings. I think, yeah, there were some aspects to it that I enjoyed, like the whole, I mean, even though it was like a short part of it, like the whole pen pal situation in the beginning. And yeah, actually that's kind of all I remember. And then I just remember the one, like the big thing that happened that stopped them writing to each other. And then I don't remember anything that happens after. So yeah, definitely forgettable, kinda. And then, but I would recommend, I guess, depending on who, like, if you think you will like it, you should read it. Yeah. Okay, A Court of Thorns and Roses. Okay, so I read this for the first time in like 2015, 2016, whenever it came out. And then the second book wasn't out yet, so I like left it. And then when I restarted my reading journey in 2020, I picked this up again in 2021 and then read the rest of the series and stuff over the years. And this book is my least favorite in the series. Yeah, honestly, could just skip to the second book. So it's not, yeah. Did I like? Would I recommend? Sure. It was enjoyable but forgettable. I mean, if you don't know what happens in the rest of the books, then this will be good too. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, it was enjoyable, not forgettable. I do remember what happens, but yeah. Okay, Neon Gods. I haven't read it. I don't know anything about it, so I'm gonna put it in my TBR and not that I'm not gonna ever pick it up. Yeah. All Your Perfects is, again, don't make me talk about it because I read that very, very long ago. So, okay. Six of Crows, I would say that would sell my soul to experience this for the first time again. Yeah. This book, but especially for Crooked Kingdom, like I would sell my soul to read that again. Yeah. Enjoyed the series, love it. I don't really care much for Shadow and Bone trilogy, but these two and then King of Scars and Rule of Wolves, I enjoyed. Yeah. Okay, Red, White and Royal Blue, I will put it in exclamation points because I love that book. This also I read in 2020 and really, really enjoyed it and would highly recommend, and watch the movie as well. I think the sequel is coming out soon, so now's the time to read it if you haven't. So yeah, I would recommend. Okay. A Little Life. Don't make me talk about it, straight up. I stopped reading this between the happy years. If you know, then you know. And I'm sorry that you know. Because I would not recommend this to anyone. I would not recommend this book to people I dislike. Like, that's how much I don't like this book. But yeah, I mean, it depends, because I know people whose favorite book this is and stuff. So like, to each their own. But I wish, okay, instead of I would sell my soul to experience this for the first time again, I wish I would sell my soul just to forget this book. That's how I feel about this one. So yeah, don't make me talk about it. You've Reached Sam. I will say that I wouldn't call it enjoyable. It's not an enjoyable book, but it's also not forgettable, but it's not exclamation points. So I think I'm gonna put it in the did I like, would I recommend, sure. Like, the way people describe it, like describe how they felt while reading it, I didn't feel it to that extent. So that's why it's like less for me, because like I was expecting for my heart to be shattered and like for me to be in pain and like, you know, to cry and all that. And I didn't feel that. Like, yes, it is sad, but I don't know what it was, if it was like the writing style or something, but like it didn't put me to that level. Like, I didn't feel as connected with the book and the character as much as I wanted to be. So I did enjoy it, I will say that, and I would recommend, but it's not, you know, what I was expecting, what I was hoping for. Okay. A Touch of Darkness, I have not heard much. I mean, I have seen this everywhere, but I haven't heard any good or bad things about it. So it's in the TBR. Dance of Thieves, I think. Yeah. Dance of Thieves, I also have seen a lot and I've heard good things and okay-ish things about it. So I do want to read it. I haven't heard, you know, any bad things, so it's not like I don't want to pick it up. So maybe one day I will pick it up. Every Summer After, don't make me talk about it straight away, because again, I think I read this in May or June, and it was so good. Like the first what, 80%, till we find out like what actually happened in the past. It was so good. The writing was nice. I enjoyed it. I was flying through it, like, and the swimming thing and everything was very nice. And then we get to what actually happened 12 years ago, and then I was like, are you joking? Are you seriously joking with me? And so, yeah, I hate this book now. So don't make me talk about it. Yeah. Okay. The Silent Patient. I think I will put this would sell my soul to experience this for the first time again, because the experience I had when the thing got revealed and just like the last couple chapters, it was a roller coaster of emotions. And like, yeah, this like also is the reason why I started reading mystery and thrillers in the first place, because before that I used to be too scared to read them, and like I'm still quite scared, but I still do it because the experience, the feeling I got when I read this book was insane. Even though I was scared, it was so fun and so thrilling and so just intense. And yeah, would read it again just for that last bit. So good. Ugh. Okay, moving on. We have Normal People by Sally Rooney. I have not read any Sally Rooney books. If you saw the Bangkok video, then you know I don't really care for her books. So I'm gonna put this in simply not picking this book up, and you can't make me. My one thing about her books is her lack of quotations. So yeah, I feel like I'm just gonna be all over the place with it, and like it's not that it's gonna be confusing, it's just the reading experience is gonna be ruined for me because of that, and I don't want that. And like even like the content, like the plot and stuff that I've heard, it's just, I don't think I'm meant for this kind of book. It's like the kind of vibe that I got while reading Cleopatra and Frankenstein. That's the vibe I feel like this book is gonna give me, and like any Sally Rooney book, and that is not my kind of book. So I just know I'm not meant for it, and so yeah, not gonna be reading Sally Rooney's books. So yeah. Okay, next is The Fine Print by Lauren Asher. I will say it was enjoyable. No, I'm gonna put this here. Yeah, I'm gonna put this in the exclamation points because I do remember just how much I loved it. I think right now my feelings towards the series has gone down just because I did not enjoy the third book at all. And yeah, the first two I loved. I think Fine Print was my favorite, and then Terms and Conditions was also really good, and I think I gave both of them like 4.5 or 5 stars, and I really enjoyed it. But I hated the third book. So, and like the fact that Cal was my favorite character in the first 2 books, but then his own book I hated him, that kind of just ruined things for me. But I did really enjoy this book, so I put it in exclamation points. Yeah, book lovers would sell my soul to experience this for the first time again. This book was so good. I think, yeah, this is my top favorite all-time Emily Henry book so far. So yeah, this is there, and then I think it's People We Meet on Vacation. So yeah, book lovers, just everything about it was just so good. The banter, the editor versus agent, agent, yeah, literary agent versus editor, and like the small town, and like the sister relationships, and like everything about it just so freaking good. I just loved it. Like the banter itself was so good. Yeah, I still think about it. I need to reread this. I think I should just do a full Emily Henry reread. So yeah, would sell my soul to read this for the first time again. Okay, Conversations with Friends. Again, I am not picking this book up because I don't want to. Okay, next we have Love in Other Words by Christina Lauren. This, again, kind of similar to Every Summer After, but I actually enjoyed it. Or like, I think I'll put this in the exclamation points because I did really enjoy it, and the end didn't ruin things for me. Yeah, the whole summer houses, and like being neighbors for the summer, every summer, and like yeah, it was really good. Yeah, I think also just the end was like the reason, like when we find out, like it was better obviously I keep comparing it to Every Summer After just because the stories are so similar, but also like the actual reasoning of it makes so much more sense, and like is actually like doesn't make me hate the characters, and like makes me understand them, I guess. So yeah, it is very devastating though, and very emotional. So would, yeah, read it at your own, Okay, The Unhoneymooners. I will say, did I like, would I recommend? Sure. I think this was my first Christina Lauren book ever, and I do remember some things about it, and like they went on vacation because everyone else got food poisoning, and then yeah, I think for me, the reason I didn't like it as much was like towards the end. I think just like there was like a conflict of them like at the restaurant with the couple who was actually supposed to go on the honeymoon, and then like the guy, yeah, just remember that he said something or did something, and I was just like, oh, that's not, or something like that. But yeah, I thought it was fine, and then I would recommend it. Just if you think that you might enjoy it, you should check it out. Yeah. Okay, next we have The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue, which, if you know, it's one of my all-time favorite books. I literally have a tattoo of it. So yeah, would sell my soul to experience this for the first time again, for sure. It's so good. I love it. V. Schwab's books, just, yeah. V. Schwab's anything. Again, I think I've mentioned this in somewhere or the other, but you should check if you like, I mean, I don't really read newsletters a lot, but like her newsletters, I always read just because they're so fun to read. Like, I don't know, it's just like fun to read, and like it's inspiring also sometimes, and like she has a section where she talks about writing and stuff, so like that's also very nice and helpful and stuff. Yeah, I would recommend her newsletters as well if you need more V. Schwab's books or like V. Schwab's writing. So yeah. Okay, It Ends With Us. Again, I read this in high school, so yeah. The Wall of Winnipeg and Me. This also I'm gonna put in Don't Make Me Talk About It. This is one of the books that I was talking about, that like of Mariana Zapata, that like I clearly remember seeing a problematic thing in it and then not seeing anyone talk about it, and I was just like, what? Like, does nobody else see that this is wrong? So yeah, Don't Make Me Talk About It. Okay, Reminders of Him by Colleen Hoover. This I actually read after 2020, so I did enjoy it a lot. And again, with her books, it's like the writing isn't great, but like the reading experience, like the bingeable quality is there. And so I think I read this also in like one sitting and stuff, and like very, again, emotional and very like crazy emotional, and like made me feel things and like all that. But I don't know if I would recommend it. I think, and it's not like it's enjoyable, but it's not forgettable. That's for sure. There's this actually, I'm gonna put this in Don't Make Me Talk About It, and then recommend you guys a K-drama that you should watch, which is literally almost the same exact plot of this. It's called Lie After Lie. I think I'll put the poster here if I'm wrong about the name, but it's literally a very kind of similar premise, or like Yeah, but it's really good. It's really good. It's not a similar premise, but like the relationship dynamics between the characters isn't the same, but like the premise of it is similar, and it's really, really good. So I would highly, highly recommend it. Then it's, what is this called? The Sweetest Oblivion. This one I'm not picking up. I did start it. I read like, I think the first chapter, and I immediately knew that I wasn't in the mood for this, you know, where I would need to turn my brain off and just like binge read kind of, and like forget about, not see any of the problematic things and stuff. And then I also found out some things about the author, so then I was like, okay, never mind. So yeah, I'm not picking that one up. So yeah. Okay, Love Hypothesis, exclamation points, for sure. I don't think I need to read this again for the first time. Like, it was good, but I think her other books after this have been even better. So for those, I would, you know, maybe sell my soul to experience it again, but not for this one. But I enjoyed it, and like, clearly have been reading all Ali Hazelwood books since this. So a good first book. Yeah, I enjoyed it. To Love, Jason Thorne. This one I'm not picking up either because I haven't heard anything about it, except I do know that one of my friends told me that like there's something in it that is quite problematic, but I don't remember now what it was, but like I remember her telling me that it was there. And so yeah, not reading it, not picking it up. Oh my god, the next one. A Good Girl's Guide to Murder. Would sell my soul to experience this for the first time again. If you've seen my reading vlog, my reading vlogs of each book, then you know that this is one of my favorite series. I still haven't watched the show, by the way, and I don't think I will, because I have been told that a lot of things are different in it, and just like, it's a disappointment kind of. So I don't know, I don't think I'm gonna watch it, just because the feeling I have for the series, I don't want that to diminish at all. And so yeah, and like I remember so much about it, which is why I would sell my soul to experience this for the first time again. And like, even like to see, because like if you've seen my vlog for the first book, then you know that I barely guessed any of the things in it, but like for the second and third I still guessed more. And so I would want to sell my soul to read this one specifically for the first time again, just so I can try and guess the twists and like the, you know, mystery behind it. But yeah, one of my favorite series, love it so much. Yeah, would sell my soul to read it again. Okay, next we have The Hating Game. This was also one of the first books that I read in like 2020 or 2021, and it's like, back then it would have been exclamation points, but like, and I haven't seen the movie, again, didn't want it to diminish, but like since reading it, like, and like recalling some of the moments and scenes in it, I'm just like, that doesn't seem as nice as I thought it did. So I would say it was enjoyable but forgettable. Like, I do remember like one or two things about it, but like one of the only things I remember mostly is like the scene where like she goes to his house and sees that the color of his walls the color of her eyes. Yeah, that. And then also just like, I think there was like a wedding or something that they went to together, and then yeah, that's pretty much what I remember. And yeah, so it was enjoyable, and yeah. Okay, next is Heartstopper. I'm gonna put this in the exclamation points because yeah, I think I don't need to experience this for the first time again. Like, it's still good whenever I've read it again once, I think, or twice, and both times the feelings were still the same. So I don't need to sell my soul to experience it for the first time again. Like, I'm still enjoying it, and so exclamation points. Yeah, it's really good. I will say, this is something I was talking about with my friend the other day, but the later books in the series get quite depressing and like require trigger warnings. So I will say to check that. Like, this first book for sure is very cozy, comfy, and like comforting and stuff, but like it does get heavier as the series goes on. So make sure to know that, because I didn't know that when I started the later books, and so it was a surprise. So yeah. Okay, Where the Crawdads Sing. I'm gonna put this in not picking this book up. I did try to read this in, I think, 2021 or 2022. I don't remember. But I did try to pick it up. But then I found out, again, something about the author. And then I was like, I don't care enough about this book to read it when I know the author isn't, you know. So yeah, did not, and like I didn't have the physical copy. I borrowed it from a friend, so I just gave that back. So I was like, there's no need. Okay, next we have the second last book in this video, The Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo. This was my second book by Taylor Jenkins Reid. One of the things that I will say that was my issue with this book is that I knew the twist, sadly. And like, obviously now at this age with like Bookstagram and like how people don't care about spoiling things for others, like, yeah, it's bad. So that's how I got it spoiled for me as well. Like, I found out, I saw a fan edit or like a fan art of the two main characters in the book, and then I was like, oh, so that's what it's about. And I mean, obviously I was very excited and still read it because I was so excited, but like still finding out not through the book, because like I literally, so my friend was reading this next to me before I'd read it. She was reading it next to me, and when she got to that twist and like she found out, she literally had like a physical like reaction. Like she almost threw the book away, because she was like, oh my god, what is happening? And like, in a good way. But like, I saw that, and then I couldn't have that moment because I already knew it, and that just, yeah, that was the sad part about it. But I will put this in, if I can experience this for the first time again without knowing what actually happens, then I think I would put this here. Yeah, because then the experience would be, yeah, so good. Anyways, okay, last book, The Atlas 6. I recently reread this, so if you saw my July wrap-up, I think, no, yeah, July wrap-up. So if you saw my July wrap-up, you saw that I reread The Atlas 6, and then I read the second book in the series. And so the first time I read this was when it was still indie published, and so that was in 2021. And so I absolutely loved it back then, and then I reread it this year and I still loved it and still really enjoyed it. So I would put this in the exclamation points. Yeah, loved it. Second book was like less for me, just like the plot felt kind of all over the place, even though the character work was really good. And so yeah, still have to read the third book, so we'll let you guys know what I think about it whenever I end up reading it. But yeah, so that is the final look of my tier rankings for popular BookTok books. Yeah, this is kind of not perfect, like as I've been saying, even like for each book, like these tiers don't really fit the description for most of these. So yeah, it is what it is. And also, just a lot of these books a lot of them have like authors and stuff that I don't read anymore because of reasons, and so I would not support or recommend their works. Like, yeah, you can do your own research and see, but like, yeah, a lot of these are books that I read before finding out things about them, and so yeah. Anyways, this is the final tier ranking. Yeah, if I probably do this again, like, I'm sure like the rankings would be a little different for some of them. Like, I think this is just like how I feel about them right now, but like it'll probably change again at some point. And so yeah, anyways, that was all for this video. Thank you for watching. Thank you for, thank you for watching me ramble about all these books. Like, most of these, like, there are very few books that I actually recently read, and most of these are from like 2021 and before. So yeah, I think also since then I've like, because that was when my reading journey was still like starting, and I was like trying to catch up and find which books people have been reading while I was away from the book community. So that's why I was reading a lot of the popular books and stuff. And now that I've like found the ones that I, now that I have the know-how of like which authors I enjoy, which authors I don't, and like know my taste better, I guess. And yeah, so because of that, like, I haven't been reading as many booktok books and like popular books, and reading more about books that I know I will enjoy. So also very surprising that some books, I'm just realizing some books are not on here that I know are like popular booktok books. Like Chloe Gong's books are not here, which would again be in the top category, would sell my soul to experience this for the first time again. And like Sabaa Tahir's books are not here. R.F. Kuang's books are not on here. Like, wait, I don't know if they are booktok books, but I know that they're like, Cassandra Clare's books are not. Oh my god, what? Yeah, there's no Clockwork Prince. All of these, like the ones that I'm saying, are like, would sell my soul to experience them for the first time again. Like, this is very like, yeah, this is not very centric to my taste, obviously. So yeah, but a lot of popular books are not on this. So yeah, maybe I think in the future I'll make one that is like I'll make a tier list for myself, and it'll be like all the fantasy series that I've read, and like I'll rank them, or like a different genre, like all the romance books I've read, or like something like that. I don't know if you guys are interested in that kind of video, or like another tier ranking for like a specific genre, or like for mystery thrillers. That would be a good idea. But yeah, if you would like that, let me know. But I might do it. Let's see. Yeah, okay, anyways, that was all for this video. I hope you guys enjoyed it, and I will see you next Monday, 5 p.m. IST. Thank you for watching. Let me know what are some books that you would sell your soul to experience for the first time again, or if you have any of the same ones that I do. And I will see you guys next time. Yeah, that's all for this video. Bye.